In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and that is where the whitewashed version starts for most of us. We were taught a cute little rhyme about discovery and freedom and how America became the greatest country in the world. But with the 4th of July being tomorrow and it being our 250-year anniversary, I felt highly compelled to make this video. And I already know this is going to piss some people off, but I do not give a shit. The more I learn, the harder it is for me to just blindly celebrate. And I already know what people are going to say. If you don't like it here, then leave. If you don't like America, live somewhere else. But honestly, isn't questioning our country part of our freedoms? Isn't holding power accountable part of what America was supposedly built on? Now, don't get me wrong, I am grateful that I live in a country that I do have the freedom to speak freely, because I know a lot of places are not blessed with those freedoms. But being grateful does not mean staying silent about harm that your country has caused and still causes today. Once you learn the real history, not the watered down version, not the version we learn in school where America is always the hero, the real version, it's hard to not feel ashamed. How could you not feel embarrassed? How could you not feel empathy for the very people whose back this country stood on to get where it is today? Now let's get back to Columbus. We were taught this land was just sitting here, empty, ready to be discovered, like some magical, patriotic fairy tale. But that was never the truth. Indigenous people were already here. Entire nations were already here. This country violently pushed them out, killed them, erased them, stole their land, and then had the audacity to treat them like foreigners on their own land. And then this country took slavery, doubled down on it, made it race-based, made it hereditary, made it lifelong, and tried to enslave black people for eternity. And then when slavery was abolished, we were taught to clap like America finally grew a heart. No. They built a loophole right into the 13th Amendment that says slavery is still legal if it's punishment for a crime. So guess what? They came up with the black codes. Black people could be arrested for not having a job, for being out past curfew even though they were the only ones with a curfew, for gathering in public and being accused of vagrancy while they were actively being discriminated and couldn't get a job in the first place. It was another trap system. Then came Jim Crow. Then came segregation. Then redlining. Then housing discrimination. And then the prison system that is still used today. And then after all this country turns around and tells black people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and work harder. I'm sorry, but that's rich coming from a country that literally got its start and built generational wealth on stolen land and stolen labor. And the more I learn, the more I understand why whitewashed history exists. Because if they told people the truth, they would have to admit how disgusting this country has been. They would have to admit that America called itself free while literally denying freedom to millions of people. They would have to admit that white privilege is real. They would have to admit that when black people did build wealth, like Tulsa's Black Wall Street, they burn it the fuck down. They would have to admit this country experimented on black men in Tuskegee without consent for decades. They would have to admit that thousands of black people were lynched. They would have to admit that redlining and housing discrimination literally blocked black families from the same generational wealth that white people were handed. We took land from Mexico. We helped overthrow Hawaii's kingdom. We still hold power over Puerto Rico. Over and over again, America has gone where it's wanted, taken what it's wanted, done what it's wanted, and called it freedom. So no, I do not hate America. I hate what America was built on. I hate that people use patriotism to avoid accountability. I hate that people are more offended by me telling the truth than the actual truth itself. And I hate that in 2026, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, we still have people living in this country begging to be treated equally. I don't want it. I don't want a country that protects somebody that looks like me before they protect a brown or a black baby. I don't want a country that protects someone that looks like me before they protect a 14-year-old child. I do not want a country that ignores all the sexual exploitation of children and only focuses on black crime. I pray for a better America because someone doesn't have to look like me to deserve the same fucking treatment.